Good morning. I think you're all in the right place, and I'm so excited to be here together with everyone here at Ecosperity because I think we all know that this is a critical moment in our human history on the planet, as we heard. What's that path to resilience look like? How do we design that future? I'm going to take you to the front lines for a few minutes, what that looks like, and we're going to talk about what it means about systems change. What's holding us back? Because this is all systems go. How many people saw the sunrise this morning? It's beautiful, right? It's a good reminder that we have to get up in the morning and get started and run like heck. Are we really ready to launch? This is a big question. How many people have seen the movie Apollo 13? Remember the original analog twin, right? Put all the pieces on the table, figure out how to bring the space capsule home. This is our space capsule. This is our container of water and air, everything we know, everything we love in humanity. Because summer 2024, last summer was the hottest in history. More droughts, more floods, crop failures, the risks are multiplying, and we thought we had more time. We don't, right? This is a profound moment that will define our water future. The global water cycle is broken. There's either too much of it, too little, or it's polluted. We're seeing the impacts globally. We're seeing it every day on our supply chains. And yet we still take water for granted. So, unchecked, these crises, these water crises, are holding up every single step forward on every single SDG. We cannot solve the other SDGs unless we solve water. It is the blue thread that runs through every single SDG. And the cost of inaction is profound. This data is from Citibank GPS. So it's starting to take the attention in the financial markets because we are sleepwalking into a water and food crisis. Add energy to that as well. This is a $58 trillion value of water. This is what this means to our global markets, according to the World Wildlife Fund. So the perception and the reality actually are starting to align. They've been divergent for many, many years. As Chris Coulter here from GlobeScan, this is his data from a recent survey. But if you look here, war and conflict, water pollution, climate change, hunger, malnutrition, this is all flowing through water, right? Because now we're starting to ask the questions. If we're downstream, when I photographed, this is Phoenix, if you're downstream, it's time to start looking upstream. Where does your water actually come from? This was one of the lowest days on Lake Mead, 148 feet. That white line is where the water should be in the reservoir for Lake Mead on the Colorado River. Start looking upstream because when we're looking upstream, we're starting to see migration, human migration. These are the favelas in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, where families whose crops have failed have moved into the city. They've named these little streets after the villages they've left behind. It's heartbreaking. We're starting to see human migration, people moving. At the same time, we see an entire generation at risk. This is in Delhi. This is an undocumented well that supplies water for an entire community in Vasankunj, I believe it is. And at the moment, too, dozens of our cities are facing what we call a day zero moment. Anybody remember Cape Town, when Cape Town almost ran out of water, right? Mexico City is on the precipice. So is Bangalore. So is Bogota, Johannesburg. It is time to start re-engineering how we think about water and how we talk about it. Because when we're talking about climate, we oftentimes leave water out of the equation. We take it for granted. But truly, and I love this quote, if climate change is the shark, water is the teeth. This is how it bites us, right? It's a breaking of that water cycle. And then just a couple days ago on the Mekong, this is a convergence. This is a convergence of two rivers that are the beating heart of Southeast Asia. I love that quote. But then also, another scientist told me it's the river of the Anthropocene. This is a river that is defining our future with plastics, pollution, drought. This is a huge ramification if we do not take care of our water supplies, a huge impact on our food supplies. I promise we're going to get to some systems change solutions because we have, as I showed a second ago, crises that are starting to unfold now. Water conflict is up 50% over last year. This is people fighting over water, which also triggers supply chain risks. It triggers geopolitical risks and major change, right? Major shifts in population and perceptions. So we've done a series now for years called Choke Point. This is at Circle of Blue, our organization where we're really building new models for systems change using journalism and science and data. And so, what does it look like for water and food, this intersection? Well, I found this farmer washing beets outside of Bangor. Well, why is he washing beets? Well, his well has gone dry, so he's stopping and washing beets. And you ask him, and he says, well, my well's gone dry, so I've turned to an alternate supply of water. I am irrigating my crops with raw sewage, and I'm sending my crops to Delhi. I don't eat my own food. I grow my own food separately. Pause for that for a second. Choke Point China is a project we did looking at the intersection, the nexus of water and energy. Sometimes we forget that it takes a lot of water to produce energy, whether it's hydropower or whether it's cooling power plants like this one in China, or washing the coal that you need to run the power plants. So this is Wu Yun. She lives near some of the largest coal mines in Inner Mongolia. As you see, two of them there. Behind her is one of the largest coal processing facilities in the world. Their wells are going dry and the grasslands are turned to sand in Inner Mongolia. There is a happy story on that in a second. Is this an existential threat? Yes. Is this an exponential moment for change? Yes. This is when we can change course because we have so many of the solutions at our fingertips. We're hearing a lot of them here today. What does that actually look like? How do we put these in order back to our little blue planet in Apollo 13? Because we face a disorganizational emergency. I love that term. Somebody told me, I thought they were talking about me, but they're talking about the water sector. It's a disorganizational emergency. We have a media that's falling apart. We have data and finance gaps. We have a painfully fragmented water sector, water and sanitation, water and energy, water and food. They all have their own kind of circles or buckets. How do we bring these together and rebuild trust? Because back to our mission control, we don't have a mission control to bring these pieces together. And yet, failure is not an option and incremental is not an option. We have to go big now. We need a new operating system for water. And what does that look like when we leverage the moment? Not 2030, not 2050, but 2025. Situational awareness. We need to understand who's doing what where, and we need to align the data, whether it's energy structures, infrastructure, water supplies, upstream, downstream. We do not have a unified operating system. We need also to build that context and the ground truth. The stories behind every data point is a real story. And then we need to co-convene quickly around these solutions and persistently. So we connect the drops and sequence these different pieces in the right order, whether it's de-risking finance, aligning the data, aligning the policy. This is still a disorganizational emergency to our detriment and to our risk. And we need to drive that forward. The engagement piece is telling the stories outside of the room. Then when that happens, we start to unlock the billions of investment. We energize accelerated innovation. We can't do this unless we sequence and get these pieces right in the right order so that we can unlock the research and the incredible paths forward that so many of us are working on. But back to Wu Yun. So the grasslands, yes, they're a little sandier than they were. I went back 3 more times to Inner Mongolia. They tore down the coal plants that we wrote about and identified. China actually moved and nudged forward on their renewable plan because they knew, they saw that their power plants to cool themselves were draining the groundwater, you can imagine, and turn the grasslands to sand. That's not only a GDP risk, that is a geopolitical risk and it's a national security risk. So the future is here today. It's here ahead of schedule. It's not tomorrow. It's not next week. It's not 5 years from now. It is now. These water crises are happening today. And so I really encourage us to be very deliberate in design and architecting the next steps forward, in the sense, connecting the dots and sequencing, because we don't have a moment to lose. And what really drives me when I have a tough day, I think of the people I've met along the way, whether it's in convening in China around the water energy nexus with leadership or scientists or researchers, or aligning these different pieces with a Global Future Council and the Energy Nexus, which we serve together on. I think of the people who are out gathering water today. These 3 young women who took me with them to fetch water, 112-degree Fahrenheit heat. You can imagine they do this every day, but I think of the dignity and what happens when they actually get water how their lives change and how that can build a really strong, resilient future, because otherwise our next generation is entirely at risk and adrift. So that's what I encourage us to do, is truly come together at this moment, not what we need to do, but really what we are doing. So let's design Water's future. Thank you.